Hey, your performance management system, it's fundamentally broken. Let's talk about it. Hi, I'm Khalifa Oliver, an executive advisor, experience coach, and the author of I Think I Love My Job. So, annual performance reviews in this economy, it's like evaluating a championship sports team once a year, but like after the biggest championship game of the year. Like, what's the point? Here's the problem. Traditional performance management is just too slow. It's too rigid, and it's too focused on past mistakes instead of future success. The truth is, most performance management systems, they rely on a recency bias. Unintentionally, but they rely on remembering what was just done. They focus a lot on what did I not do versus what did I do well. And employees actually need real-time feedback and not once-a-year surprises. And speaking of surprises, a big part of why performance review and performance management systems are fundamentally broken is because these surprises should not occur. In any good system for performance reviews, they're happening continuously. It shouldn't be the first time that somebody hears that they did something bad or they did something good. They should be hearing it all the time so they can improve, maintain, change, pivot. If the first time they hear it is once a year in a gotcha system, we're promoting bad behaviors through our performance review system. A report from McKinsey found that companies with continuous feedback systems outperform their peers by 24% in productivity and 27% in retention. And why is that? Continuously understanding what is going right and what is going wrong in a constructive feedback system allows people to fail fast, learn fast, promotes continuous learning and growth mindset. It sets people up for success. It doesn't feel like once a year pile-on or beat down or a celebration just once a year when you put in work the entire year. So how do we fix them? They've been in so long, right? There's so many managers who come from these broken systems, and that's what they've come to know. Well, the first thing is we need to shift from judgment to coaching. Change the mindset of performance reviews. Performance reviews should not feel like a sentencing hearing. It shouldn't be the first time you're hearing stuff. It should be a reinforcement of all the things that you've heard continuously throughout the year. The other thing is to ditch stack ranking. Now, stack ranking comes from statistics in terms of normal curves, but it's also what I would call a bastardized version of it, where in most cases, it's not working statistically the way that it needs to work. So instead of it being fit into a curve, letting data drive it, what ends up happening is we force the normal curve with the normal distribution. And if we get nerdy for a second, here's the thing. If you're hiring well, you are not going to have a supernormal curve. Now, you're going to have people who would be considered lower performers than the best performers, but if everybody on average performs really well because you hire really well, you can't just make somebody be considered a low performer because they're performing well. It's just incrementally worse than somebody that you're now saying is met expectations. And so what that causes is people to really resent the performance management system. The other thing that it does, it has a tendency to really reinforce bad behaviors on both the part of managers and co-workers and peers who do not want to be at the bottom of that stack. So they often will sabotage their own co-workers, and managers may use it as a way to just dole out punishment on people they don't necessarily love for whatever reason, rather than on performance metrics that are objective. The other thing is to make feedback a habit, not an sporting event. And that's the biggest problem with most performance management systems. It just becomes a sporting event one time a year. Managers are so focused on this, they can't focus on actions or anything else. And it just becomes a non-constructive process and almost a check the box exercise that in many ways can bring out the worst in people. So it should be real time, it should be constructive, and this is important, it should be two ways. In many cases, performance feedback systems that are continuous teach people both how to give feedback and accept feedback on an ongoing basis. It should always be a two-way conversation. So if your performance system feels like a relic from the 1940s, okay, let's get more current. The 1990s, it's time to retire it, along with, other things like dial-up internet, fax machines, right? If you enjoy this content and you would like to learn more about things like employee experience, people analytics, data, just ways to make work better and create better experiences for people to revolutionize work, then like, follow, share.